All right. Joe, are you ready? Yep. All right, this is Tom.
And I'm Joe.
And this is No Huntsville. We have a very special episode today. A great organization. And, well, you know what? First, let's talk about Pinhook Provisions, right? So we have a new studio space in Pinhook Provisions over off Bob Wallace. It's a great space. They're doing great stuff with the local food trucks. And then also, we want to mention our sponsors, Yellowhammer. We've been drinking their beer today. Of course, the great guys over at Yellowhammer, who we are going to have our viewing party for the Valley CW, our new show that's going to be on TV, if you haven't heard. November 21st, 4 o'clock, we're going to have our viewing party over at Yellowhammer. It's our partnership with the Valley CW to bring this chintzy little show that's on the web to actual television. So we're very excited about that. So thanks to the Valley CW. Lucky. And now let's get to the point of this show, which is Dogs on Deployment. We have Tracy here to talk about exactly what this great cause is for our servicemen. So Tracy, thanks for coming in and talking to us today.
Not a problem.
All right, so why don't you give us the background of what Dogs on Deployment is all about?
We are a 501c3 gold-rated nonprofit.
Right. I like where this is starting already, right? Very good. All right, go ahead.
We actually have, it's nationwide coverage. We are recently started the Alabama chapter.
Okay.
We help military members and some veterans help find borders for their animals when they get sent overseas.
Right.
We also help in some cases of the any kind of medical emergencies that may have come up with animals. We also help with them. We are strictly 100% nonprofit, donation only. All of our members are on volunteer basis.
So in a nutshell here, so you have a serviceman who has an animal, has a dog generally, but we talked before that might expand. Yeah, it might expand out to llamas, not just dogs. But it has an animal. They're getting deployed. They don't have anybody at that particular point to help take care of the dog while they're overseas. You guys step in to kind of facilitate that. And where you're different is that you have a volunteer basis sort of team or organization that helps house these animals so it keeps costs down.
Yes.
And then also as an organization, you kind of help when there's an emergency and they don't have the funds to actually take care of something that could be solved with that animal.
Yes.
You kind of step in to help with that.
Yes,
Did I get it all right? Look at that.
Done with the interview.
Done with the interview. We just collect this thing up right now. So for the information that people can kind of find out more about the organization is dogsondeployment.org.
Yes.
You also have a Facebook page, but they need to look up Dogs on Deployment, the Gulf Coast, to talk about your one in particular, right?
Our Facebook page just changed.
Okay.
It used to be Dogs on Deployment Alabama chapter.
Right.
But as I stated, our Alabama coordinator actually got promoted up to the Gulf Coast region coordinator. So now she had to change the page up to where it's now including Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, just the southern region.
Wow, and then there's a lot of military bases in that region.
There's a lot.
And speaking of from Huntsville's point of view, we have a base right here,
Yes.
so this completely makes sense.
It is strange how unknown it is and how many service members, because of a base being right here, hardly any of them knew anything about this cause.
Right, and we were talking before. The alternatives to your organization is there's some sad situations where they have to give a dog up or their animal up to somebody they don't know, or possibly to a shelter, and possibly for good. Like you don't get the animal back, right? So this is where your organization makes sense and really helps out, where they can place it with somebody who knows that they're on deployment. They know there's a time frame that they have to do it in, and also, like you said, keeps the price down because they're volunteering, right?
Yes.
Right.
It's basically the border just agrees to open up their home. Like I said, they have to go through an application and put in an application to be considered as a volunteer border. It's usually within that local region. On Facebook, we have we share broad all over the nation on who's got a border or an animal needing to be boarded.
Right. Well, that's a question. So if they say I'm a serviceman in Huntsville, is the thought that my dog would be bordered in Huntsville then? If possible, right?
As close to Huntsville as we can.
Gotcha, right.
We actually try to keep it within the same area. That way, the expense of getting the animal to the border is cut down.
Right, sure.
We've actually had, in the last 2 months, we've had two animals come across needing boarded. One was in Athens, and one was in Meridianville.
Okay.
That needed to have been boarded. One was, I want to say, for a 6-month board, and one was just for a 2-week.
Oh, okay.
But because of us getting our word out, now the military service members are actually becoming more aware of the cause here.
Right, yeah.
Where, bigger bases like, Texas and other areas that have larger bases, they're more known.
Okay.
Here it's still getting the word out, trying to get the name out there and people becoming aware of it. Because where we lacking volunteers still pretty badly, still needing volunteers to help with events and stuff like that, we're also still struggling getting the military service members knowing that we are out there.
Right.
What if people want to volunteer, get with the cause? Where would they go?
The best thing to do typically you can go online. You have to go online to the dogsondeployment.org, sign up, as a volunteer. We actually usually have events listed, ranging anywhere within the state. And if you want to volunteer for that event, you can. You also can email or message on Facebook, and the coordinator will get with you and tell you, okay, this is what we need to do. This is where we're at. She sends out. I actually receive a weekly Huntsville volunteer letter. Sets up, lets us know, hey, this is what we're going for. This is where we need to be. These are the events coming up.
Right.
If anybody wants to step up and volunteer. So she's very, very hands-on. She keeps us all in the loop. I'm sure all the other regions are the exact same way. I can only speak for Laura because she's the only one I've really had to deal with so far.
Right.
But she keeps us in the loop, and if there's any events, like I stated yesterday, we ended up having to actually cancel in a booth because I was already committed to the color run.
Right, and so the point of going to these events is, again, getting the word out.
Yes.
And that's the key thing. Other than the fact that your big push here today is to try to get more volunteers.
Yes,
because this whole thing doesn't work.
It does not.
Unless you have people volunteering. And again, the great thing about for the servicemen is that since they are volunteers, the costs go down.
Yes.
Right? And that's what the whole point is. I mean, guys going overseas, they're doing enough. There's no reason why we shouldn't try to reduce the amount of costs that are, and anybody who's an animal lover, I am, Joe, I know you are, this completely makes sense. And people should really reach out and volunteer.
We don't really ask a whole lot.
Right.
We actually just had our first event here in Huntsville in July, and me and 2 other volunteers were the ones that ran the booth. And
Okay.
it was at the Pet Depot. It's just an information booth, trying to get the word out there.
Right.
We do take donations at any of the events because, as I said, this is strictly ran off donations.
Sure.
It is 100%. Everything goes,
And also, just to clarify too, the servicemen who are going overseas, they're still paying for the necessities of the animal to
Yes.
live. You're talking about food and,
Yes.
and stuff like that.
Still comes down to being roughly the same cost as it would be if they were at home having, to pile the food.
Except what they're not getting is the
Not the boarding
fees.
fees.
Yeah,
They're
you're not getting the
having to deal with
fees
the
of a
boarding
boarding
fees.
house, right?
They're not having to deal with the boarding fees or having to basically give up their pet because there are a lot of
that's
service
great, man.
members. There's a lot of service members, say their family's here in Alabama, but they're stationed in California.
Right.
They're
yeah.
looking at, if anything, trying to get that animal from California to Alabama.
Which is a big deal.
And that can get costly.
Sure,
We
yeah.
actually had an animal come up in Germany. The military members were being stationed back stateside, and the fees were so high that we've been doing fundraisers to help get the money to help the dog come back home with his family.
Wow. Okay.
So we do that. We do help with fundraisers if, there's some extreme cause of, this is what's going on. We do promote, a fundraiser, a donation, like the GoFundMe's or something to that sort.
Yeah.
Saying, can you help with this cause? And so it comes out pretty
Just
well.
need volunteers for this cause.
Yes.
I mean,
Volunteers, business sponsors, anything to help us spread the word and get the name out there, making it more aware to everybody.
Yes, everybody should be kind of pushing this out. We are going to be pushing this out. I think it's twofold, right? It's great for the servicemen and it's great for the animals.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's like a win-win. So,
And we actually have a large event coming up November 11th at Yellowhammer.
okay, so some cross-promotion here. Our good friends at
We
Yellowhammer hosting an event. So what's the event about?
It
Tell me.
is Beer Dogs and Veterans. It is a fundraising event. We'll have 2 local music artists.
Okay.
I actually just confirmed our second set
Yeah?
with Gus.
Gus?
Yes.
All right, so Gus is going to
He
be there.
actually agreed to do
He's got
our
a big
second
heart.
set.
That's Gus, of course, yeah.
and the openers, Led Zeppelin.
Nice. Led Zeppelin's going to be there, so everybody should come out, right?
Well, actually, it's going to be Dwayne Walker.
Same thing.
So, hey, we're sticking pretty much local.
Okay.
We're going to do a silent auction, all funds, all proceeds made from the silent auction will go straight to Dogs on Deployment.
Great.
Yellowhammer's actually agreed to donate a percentage of their sales that night
the
to
good
the
guys at
cause.
Yellowhammer.
Hammer just kicking it up a notch.
Another tear from my eye today, I tell you.
That's
Great guys.
tear.
It is.
Still Serving Veterans are going to have an event or a booth over there with us.
Nice.
We actually are going to be walking in the Veterans Day Parade with Still Serving Vets earlier that day.
Wow.
So we have a lot going on that day.
So say one more time where these people who may want to contribute to that auction,
Okay.
Can you
The
get
silent
in touch
auction, we are looking for any kind of donations for the silent auction. We're trying to do more pet friendly, like
Okay.
groomers, stuff like that. But
Right.
we're also looking for donations for the people, because
Sure.
you've got to have stuff for the person in the area too. because-
Yeah, sure.
So
To help them
like
out. Right.
gift certificates for restaurants or anything like that.
Just
We're-
kind of sweetening the pot to make them
Gus
just
actually-
appreciative.
Gus actually said he was going to donate a album
There you go.
to the silent
I think
auction.
it's sitting right there. You're going to take that with you, and that's going to be your album.
He's
Yeah.
actually going to give it to me.
Okay, good.
I've got to get back in touch with him, let him know more detail on everything.
And then, so I think what Joe and I, we're going to donate something too. So we're about maybe we could do. This
I'm
is
going
what.
to donate 24 T-shirts from my company.
Okay, look it. So
Right.
Rad One's going to
Awesome.
donate 2 dozen T-shirts. I think we have a couple Southern Growlers. I'm going to donate a Southern Growler for auction.
And
Awesome.
those are
So
beautiful.
and they're beautiful. Yeah. So another promotion to Southern Growler, but we're going to give you guys a growl to auction off as part of our contribution. And
That
I'm going to
is
hopefully show up
so
as well.
greatly appreciated.
So we're going to do that. And then what do you
Dr.
say?
Barbecue's going to donate a big old pork butt for that too.
So Dr. Barbecue is going to be there. He's again here once again to supply great food for everybody. So wow, one more plug for old Dr. Barbecue over there. All right. Well, the whole cause is great. Again, twofold: servicemen and the dogs. It's a great idea. We are a military town, so
Yeah.
we should be supporting this, and it shouldn't be hard to find everybody to get behind this thing. It totally makes
And it
sense.
isn't a political thing. It's just a human thing.
it's
But if you're a dog lover, and,
Exactly.
you know how special your pets are to you.
Oh yeah,
It's exactly-
and that's where it basically boils down to. It's a matter of how much you care about your pets. And most people, you view their animals, they view it as family.
They're family. They're straight up family.
They're not
so that's
just
it.
animals. And
Some people have had to give their pets away.
Which
you know,
is
and that's the
insanity.
problem.
They got enough to be thinking about overseas. So.
Yeah.
I had in a situation of, I was in Fort Hood and I had a dog. We were supposed to go to South Korea. As with my previous marriage, we were supposed to have been stationed in South Korea. I was gonna have to give my dog up,
Yeah.
and I'd had him since he was 6 weeks old. There's no way. So I opted to come back to Alabama and brought my dog back home with me. I took the say, okay, well, I'm not going. I'm
Right.
staying with my dog. I've had him since I was 16. I had to put him down 2 years ago from cancer. So, there was no way I could have gave him
Right.
up. And,
And you guys-
imagining what some of these people would have to try to do to
You
give
guys
up
are
their
making
animals.
it easier for them, so it's really nice.
We're definitely trying.
All right.
We are trying to make it as easy as possible because deployment in its own self is
It's
already
enough.
hard.
It really is.
But having to worry about your animals and family and this and that, one less thing to worry about, the better.
Right. Tracy, thank you so much for coming in. That's Dogs on Deployment, dogsondeployment.org. Please check it out. See her at Yellowhammer with this big event coming up here. It's
Get
going to be great.
involved with the silent
Please get
auction.
involved. Want to thank our hosts here at Pinhook Provision Studios for the nice studio space. Also, Yellowhammer. A couple of different ways we'd like to thank Yellowhammer. But, of course, for the great beer, the great venue for putting these on. Dr. Barbecue, thank you so much. Southern Growlers, since Southern Growlers now involved, we'd like to thank those guys as well. But thank you, too, for coming
Thank
in.
you so much.
Appreciate it.
And the CW.
And the Valley CW. Are they here? No, they're not here anymore.
Never mind.
Well, no, not never mind. We still want to thank them
Oh,
anyway.
sorry. Never mind.
November
Never mind.
21st, 4 p.m. That's when our first airing is. So thanks to the Valley CW. And thank you, Joe.
And thanks to Wayne and Arlisa.
They got on the show right now, didn't they? Pan around. We don't have a cameraman, so they can't pan around. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.